We're going to factor a sum and difference of cubes. So before we get started on an actual problem, let me give you the formula. For the sum of cubes, you would have some value cubed plus another value cubed. That's what you would start out with. If you see that, it factors down to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So that's for the sum of cubes. If you have a difference of cubes, so that would be something cubed minus something else cubed. If you start out with that, it factors to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So these are your formulas. If you want to memorize the formulas, you can. It'd be helpful. And then all you have to figure out is what is the a value, what is the b value, and substitute them into the equation, and you got your factors. All right. Now, one way that you can remember the signs of the problem is use SOAP. When you're factoring, this first sign is the same as the problem. So the problem is a plus, I have a plus. For the difference, I have a minus, and I have a minus. So the first sign in your factor is the same as the problem. The second sign is always opposite the problem. Okay, so for the first one, I have a sum, so the opposite of plus is minus. For a difference of cubes, I have a minus. The opposite of that would be plus. All right. And then the AP stands for always positive. So this is always positive for the sum of cubes, and it's always positive for the difference. So one way to help you remember what sign is which is to think of SOAP. All right. Now what we'll do is we'll go back through and we'll do a numerical example with some numbers, and I'm going to show you a different way, or kind of another way to organize this formula without having to necessarily memorize it. So we'll go up to the top of our page, and we will start out with x cubed plus 64. X cubed plus 64. So what you need to do is you need to think, can I take something and cube it and get x cubed? Right? And hopefully you can say, yeah, I can take an x and cube it and get x cubed. Is there some number that I can cube and get 64? Sure, you can take the number 4, multiply it times itself 3 times, and you get 64. So if you're going to use that long formula, if you've got it memorized, you would just need to realize that your a value would be x, your b value is equal to 4, and you would just plug those numbers into the factored form for a and b, and you'll have your answer. All right. So that's one way you can do it. If you can identify your a and your b, just plug in the numbers. Now, I'm going to think of this x cubed as x times x times x, and I'm going to think of the 64, or this 4 cubed, as 4 times 4 times 4. And I'm going to draw a box. We're going to call this our SOAP box. And remember that SOAP tells us the signs. So for the first one, it's the same as the problem. So we have a sum here. I'm going to put a plus here. Same as the problem. For the next sign, it's O is opposite the problem. So right here, I'm going to put the opposite, which is minus. And then the last sign is always positive. I'll put that one right there. And then I'm going to just fill in all these little boxes here. I'm going to take an X and put it right here. cross it out of my list. That would represent the A. Take one of the 4's and put it right here. That's going to represent B. In this bottom left corner, I'm going to take this x times x, and that gives me x squared. I'm going to plug it in right there. That would represent A squared. Take the 4 times the 4, that gives me 16. I'm going to plug that in on the end here. That represents B squared. And then in the middle, you're going to take the x and the 4, multiply them together, and you get 4x. That is your A times B. So we've taken that long formula and we kind of organized it in a nice, neat way. So our final factorization would be x plus 4 times x squared minus 4x plus 16. And this is your final answer.